Hey plant people, welcome and thank you so much for stopping by. We have got a lot of stuff that I'm going to cram in today's video. It is going to be like a planty charcuterie board where we're just gonna have a lot of crap thrown on here and I'm gonna try to make it look okay before I present it to you, but it's just gonna have a lot of somewhat random stuff in it. We're gonna be doing some plant chores, we're gonna be doing an unboxing, we're gonna be doing probably some updates. So we're just going to hang out and have a planty day today. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then buckle up because I feel like this is gonna be a long one. Okay, so first thing is first, my number one priority today is to get this sulfur treatment started on my Hoyas because I've been talking about it for like a month now. It is finally not freezing cold outside in Georgia today. It's like, I think it's like high 50s, low 60s, which is significantly warmer than it has been. It has just been entirely too cold to start this process because I know that once I spray them down, I want to let them sit outside for a few minutes to kind of dry off so I'm not bringing that like sulfury smell into my house. So I feel like it is finally warm enough today to let them sit out there for a few minutes without freezing to death. So I have gotten some supplies. I got some sulfur dust. I just found this on Amazon. Seems like people like this. I mean, as much as you can like a bottle of sulfur dust, I guess. So this is my first time trying to treat my Hoyas for flat mites. So we're just gonna see what happens. They're definitely suspicious. There is definitely some suspicious activity going on as far as lumpy growth, weird malformed leaves, slow growth. There has also been some mealybug activity. So I know that they're struggling and that they will most likely benefit from this. So this is going to be a fun experiment for anyone who is thinking about trying sulfur for the treatment of flat mites on their Hoyas and kind of like what that would result in, because I have never done it before. I will just be documenting my experience with it, and we're gonna see what happens after I use this and treat them for a little bit and see if we see some improvement. To go along with this, I have also got this handy dandy electric spray bottle. I saw that Fern had this and I trust her opinion on her planty supplies. It does have some different spray nozzles, which I've not experimented with this whatsoever. All I did was charge this. It just has a little Type-C USB-C port right here. So I was just charging it with my phone charger and I was charging it for a couple of hours. So I'm sure it's probably fully charged by this point, but it has a couple of different nozzles here. It looks like it has like a shorter one and a longer one. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to see which one of those is gonna be a better option. And then I did get a couple of different kinds of gloves. I got just like some surgical gloves, like I don't think they're latex. I think they're whatever the alternative is of latex, but like the tight fitting kind of like low rise gloves. I did get some of those, but I also got these household gloves, which are the ones that come farther up your arms because I didn't know what the spray was going to look like and if it was going to like go up my arms. So if the spray is getting too crazy out there, I wanted to just have these on hand so that I could protect my arms and sleeves because I do not want sulfur dust everywhere. Lastly, that I can think of at present, I do have an unboxing that I'm going to add onto this video, and we are going to be potting up that plant because I have just got it sitting in water. It did come from Kartel Daun. I had ordered from them not too long ago, and I just have mixed feelings about that experience. I feel like on one hand, Kartel Daun does have very unique anthurium that you can't really find very easily in the United States. On the other hand, they were not in the best condition, but I do not necessarily blame them for that because I feel like anytime you import plants and they're coming from overseas and it's such such an enormous environmental change from them. And then they have like a very extended shipping process to get from over there to here. And then of course it is still kind of cold outside. So there are some things that are just unavoidable when you are ordering plants and specifically importing them from another country, especially when it is cold outside. So I do not entirely fault them for that. However, the roots were very subpar. I definitely expect when you're paying above $50 for a small anthurium seedling, for them to have at least, I want a decent root structure, especially if it's growing somewhere in their more natural environment where they are really receiving the climate that they need and they prefer. And I don't know, like, I'm sure it's like more humid and sunny and warm there. And I just feel like if they're in that kind of environment, they should have some pretty decent roots, because I have ordered from many places off of Etsy here in the United States, and I understand that it's a different process. Again, it's coming from overseas and there's a lot of stress that's involved with that and things of that nature. However, I've just had way better experiences with like the root structure and the overall plant health from what it seems prior to being shipped from sellers that I have purchased from within the United States. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I would anytime soon be purchasing again from Kartel Daun, just because it feels like a lot to deal with to buy a plant, you know. However, if there was just some kind of crazy anthurium that they have that I can't get anywhere else, like, yeah, it's probably worth the risk to try to import it. They did, the reason I even have another order is because they did refund me for one of the plants, which was completely melted when I originally got it. We will do an update on that one here in just a minute. I did put it in a cup with some sphagnum moss, and it has put out a leaf, but it has not had any roots yet. So I'm kind of just like a little bit skeptical on how that's going to turn out, especially when I transition that from that very high humidity environment to ambient. So we will see about that one, but they did refund me for that one. And then the other ones had a ton of scale, like a ton of scale. And they were just, at first I was like kind of put off by the interaction that I had with them, because I sent them photos and they were like, oh, is that scale or are those just marks on the plants? I was like, why would I be emailing you saying that it's scale if you can't clearly see in the photos that it's scale? But whatever. So I took photos before, obviously, when it had the scale on it. And then after I had removed the scale, I showed them photos of that too, so they could see that like the spots had been removed. And they did refund me, I believe, 50% for both of the plants that were affected with scale. And they totally refunded me for the one that melted. So I do feel like, as long as you document any issues that you have in the unboxing process and like when you receive it, I feel like you would probably be able to work with them to get a refund or a store credit or something like that, if in the event that something did happen. But they have anthuriums that are just really hard to get here. So I did use my credit on another anthurium, which is very difficult to get here, which I've actually not, I think they're the only ones that I've ever seen that have had it. So we'll see. This one actually came in really good condition and the roots are really healthy. And I did film the unboxing for that. And then we are going to pot it up today because I just had it sitting in a little bit of Super Thrive water for the past, not quite 24 hours, just to kind of rehydrate it. I did thoroughly treat it for pests and sprayed it down with Castile soap and my Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. So we are going to hope that we do not run into any more issues with that one. Okay, so if you've never seen any of my previous videos, well, first, hi, hello, please subscribe. Yes, you, please subscribe, thank you. But this is my Hoya setup that we have going on over here. I got this shelf from Amazon, and I have them sitting in these little clear bins, which has been absolutely phenomenal because I can just water them through with my sprayer and it doesn't matter if the water runs through everywhere. I do have also 2 of the IKEA Acrobar cabinets, like the little greenhouse cabinets in the bottom. So I am feeling like what I'm going to do is just take this shelf by shelf, because I also have one of those big plastic storage bins that I'm going to be, I think I'm going to spray the underside first and then put them all in the bin and then spray the top and let them sit out there and dry for a few minutes. and we can just kind of do some stuff in between. But I think I'm gonna go one shelf at a time. So I'm gonna start on this top shelf and do as many as I can and just kind of work my way down. I feel like that will also give me kind of like a natural stopping point between shelves if I feel like I can't get this completely done in one day. Although I feel fairly confident that I can, depending on how fast this dries, because it looks like a lot of Hoyas, okay, when you have them in here, but once I get them all pulled out and they're not as spaced out, I feel like it would take maybe, I feel like I could maybe do all of them per shelf into that one bin at once, but we're just gonna have to see. I will just share with y'all some of the evidence that supports that these have flat mites. So the very first thing, so this is my Hoya Patchoulii I Census Splash, and you can see down in the middle here, you see how nubby that growth is and how it keeps putting out these growth points and they keep stopping, and then a new growth point will start and it'll try to grow from there. It has started successfully growing a few leaves, but you can see like with this one right here, maybe, can you see that? I don't know. Let me see here. This one? Yeah, you can kind of see. You see how it's like malformed and it's already yellowing? From what I understand, flat mites love to get in there and just destroy the new growth and new leaves. And that would really make sense here because it has got a zillion, million, billion, zillion little nubby growth points that have failed in there. I also have, this is my Hoya SP Bahoy, and this has got the same probs going on here in the middle. Gosh, this doesn't want to focus. Okay, oh, it's my face. Hold on. Can y'all see that? You see how it's just like nubby and gross there in the middle? Like it's tried to put out so many new growth points and just nothing's happening. So another culprit. I'm going to use this one as an example just because it's sitting towards the front. But I also have a bunch of leaves that just come out all wonky with like mysterious damage on there. Like you see how like messed up this one is? And like the underside, they have like all these marks. So I have that going on. This is my Ake Gomaz, which I really love. So this one, see, it put out a tendril too, but then it's dying. It's dying at the tip. It's all dried up. So again, just suspicious activity. This one may or may not be flat mites. I mean, I'm sure it probably has them if the rest of them have them over there. But this is my Multiflora Albo Marginata. Yeah, this one looks like total crap. It keeps yellowing, but it's also growing, and it isn't sphagnum moss. Like I know that I need to repot this. Don't get me wrong, that is of note. That is on the list of things that I need to do. But I don't know why it keeps yellowing like this. Like, what's the dealio? Maybe flat mites. I don't know. I could seriously just keep going on about all the weird stuff that's going on with these Hoyas. And I genuinely just have it in my heart and my soul that it's flat mites. So I'm hoping that that ends up being what it is so that this treatment actually does help with that. And once we get this done, we'll finally see some healthy growth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my work area outside. I'm going to kind of like get my stuff together, mix up my sulfur spray, get my gloves on and my jacket because it is still chilly out there, and get my first tray of Hoyas. And then I'm going to set you up in my garage, and that is where we're going to be doing this. All right, also we are out in my garage now. It is actually a freaking beautiful day today. It has been so rainy and gloomy for so long, so it's nice just to kind of be out here and get some fresh air and start spraying the sulfur stuff everywhere. I do have my big bin here that I'm going to be spraying these guys down in. And I'm also thinking I'm just gonna put the lid down and use this to spray them off with also. Also, excuse my hair, I did have to put it in sport mode so that it's out of my face. And I've got my first 3 trays of Hoya here that we are going to start with. And I have got my mask that I'm going to put on because I have really bad asthma and I do not want to inhale any of this stuff. And we are going to get started. Not my neighbors walking by when I'm out here looking like this. They're like, what the heck is going on with this lady? actually got through that way faster than what I thought I was going to, and it's already drying pretty quickly. So I actually feel like what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and knock out the rest of these Hoyas, because I can line them up right now in my garage to let them dry off, because it feels really good today, like it's not too cold or anything. And my car is at the dealership because I'm getting a new battery and some new tires. So it's like the perfect time to have all this space to kind of get this task accomplished. I would 100% recommend this in this case for any kind of like pest treatment, because it's pressurized. It makes it so easy to get up underneath all of the leaves without having to like flip the plant all the way over. And also it just really saves your hand from having to like pump a manual spray bottle. Highly recommend. Also highly recommend the higher gloves, because the spray does kind of get everywhere, and it's just nice to be like fully covered up and there's no skin or anything open. And also, like, I thought this was gonna smell really bad. Honestly, I barely smell it at all through the mask, and even when I take the mask off, it's not like an ultra powerful smell like what I thought it was gonna be. So honestly, this has been not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Very easy to get it sprayed on with this. It's drying really quickly. Of course, I am outside today and it is a little bit breezy, so obviously that's going to affect it. So I am going to go ahead and knock the rest of these Hoyas out, like I said. And while I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean out their trays that they've been sitting in, because they have just like, where I've been flushing them through with water and stuff, there's a bunch of dirt in there. So I'm going to clean those out, get the rest of these sprayed off, and then I will check back in. If I have enough energy, we'll do some updates before we get into the big reveal for my new plant that I got from Kartel Daun. So I will see y'all in a little bit. You may notice that I look a little bit different right now, and that is because it is the next day. Did I finish all of the Hoyas, spraying all of the Hoyas down with sulfur yesterday? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Did it take me the entire rest of my free time yesterday? Yes. Also yes. But I feel the feeling that I have right now looking at these Hoyas, even though they are covered in this crusty, dusty sulfur, I cannot describe to you, because I feel so good about the fact that I had gotten through all of these Hoyas, and I've kind of like set them up for success as far as being able to grow without being infested with flat mites. And I also cleaned all of my shelves. I cleaned out my acrobar cabinets, my little mini greenhouses, and everything. I feel like I don't even care. Honestly, I do not even care that everything is coated in this dust, because I feel so good about the fact that everybody is treated and that is done for now. Now I will in the future, sorry about that. I had to quickly catch and release a spider outside that was crawling on my cabinet and had distracted me. However, I was talking about, oh yes, so I feel like this is going to cover them for a while. And then I also want to, like maybe after a couple weeks, wash everybody off and then reapply another treatment one more time, just to make sure that if there are any flat mites and wherever that life cycle is and whatever hasn't gotten sprayed down well enough, and however much of the sulfur has kind of like gotten knocked off or whatever, I just want to make sure that they are totally under control. Like they are totally wiped out as much as is humanly possible in my position. I wanted to go ahead with y'all really quickly and pot up the anthurium that I got from Kartel Daun, because it has still been sitting on my dining room table in water, because I obviously did not have time for anything yesterday after spraying down all these freaking Hoyas. So we are going to do that really quickly, and then I'm going to throw in just a few updates into the end of this video. So I feel like I'm actually going to do like a full total collection walkthrough updates before too long. I am not doing a favorites video this month for January because I feel like I'm still like stewing on my favorite plants from 2024, and I just feel like I need another month to formulate any different opinions than I had last month. So we are going to skip that this month. However, I would like to replace that with a little collection update walkthrough. So I'm going to save the majority of updates for that video, but there will be just a couple that I'm going to talk about today. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to insert the footage of me actually unboxing this anthurium before we get to potting it up. So I hope you guys enjoy. So y'all would have seen by now that my new anthurium is Anthurium basilisk crossed with Bigfoot. And these are two Kartel Daun crosses that they have bred, and they have somehow produced an anthurium with this really wavy border here. I am totally in love with this. This may very well be my new favorite anthurium because I just cannot get over the wavy edges. Like, this is the most incredible plant. It is the most incredible plant. And I'm sure the camera is not going to catch, but it has incredibly sparkly veins. So it's very much giving like, I think it's my silver blush, that has the sparkliest silver that I've ever seen on an anthurium. And the veining in this is very much that same sparkly, like it looks like diamond, essentially. So it looks like diamond. It has really cool, like bleedy veins, and then that wavy border. Also, I don't know exactly what the lobe situation is going to look like because I have some leaves like this that are looking as though they're flattening just a bit. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe a little bit. And then some lobes that are still like the newest leaf, which is, I don't know why this is bent out of shape so crazy, but this is the newest leaf, very pinky, rosy tone to this one. But you can see that one has more prominent lobes. But yeah, this is the most incredible anthurium I think that I've ever seen, other than circus peanuts, which is my #1 dream plant that is just pretty much unobtainable at this point. But this, man, this is a close second. It really is. Look at that leaf. Look at that leaf. And even the older leaves, I really wish that I could just transport this image into y'all's eyeballs to see how sparkly this veination is. But because that is not scientifically possible right now, y'all are going to have to just appreciate what you can see in the video. And maybe I'll try to upload some photos or like some videos with my phone maybe to Instagram later. I'm trying to be more active on Instagram, y'all. It's really a struggle. But yeah, so this plant, could not be happier with this. After having it sitting in water for a couple of days, the leaves feel pretty good. Like, they do not feel floppy and gross. And this one had, as you saw, really, really good roots. Like, these are very, very healthy, happy looking roots here. And they're kind of like pink, which is really cute too. But yeah, so I'm extremely happy with this plant. I did, as I mentioned, go ahead and treat this with Castile soap and sprayed it down with Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. And I don't see anything suspicious going on. So I feel like this is a very, very healthy plant. Like, this experience with Kartel Daun, 10 out of 10. Like, this is absolutely phenomenal. So we need to get him potted up because he is definitely rehydrated at this point after sitting in water for the last 24 hours. I've got my normal mix here of, this is just kind of like whatever soil I've had that I've been reusing from other plants. There's definitely cocoa chips in there. There is probably some Miracle-Gro tropical soil still remaining. I did add in some more orchid bark, chunky perlite, leca, and I had added in some horticultural charcoal and earthworm castings not too long ago too to the mix that I had a little bit left of. So I'm sure there's some of that remaining in there as well. And then we're also going to be adding my great white that I really love, which is my chores, which is supposed to help with nutrient uptake and absorption and all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan you guys down so we can see what I'm doing, and we are going to get it potted up. All right, y'all. So hopefully you can see what I am doing down here pretty well. I don't know what size pot to put this in because I've started to realize that yes, while anthurium do like a little bit of room to stretch their roots out, when I first get them, if I just immediately pot them into a bigger pot, normally it does not turn out as well if I start out with like a smaller pot. Like, I have these two. So if I start out with this one, even if I need to repot it like not too far in the future, I feel like they just end up having better root health and less root rot if I start them off in a smaller pot and then repot them into a bigger pot later on, probably just because they've had more time to kind of like adjust to my environment, so it's not going through so many stresses at once. So I just don't know if this is going to be big enough. Yeah, I think it is. I do think it is. So I'm going to start with the smaller one. This is still, it's reasonable. You know, like, this is not an ultra tight fit. It does have a little bit of room, but it's not as roomy as this one. See, in the past, I probably would have gone with this one because I wanted to give it some more space so it could live in that pot for a little bit longer. But I just feel like they transition a little bit better when I start them off into a smaller pot. So I'm going to start with that one. Oh yeah, and I've been going, this is one of my vessels. I've been going to Goodwill and thrifting a bunch of these glass vessels recently so that I can do my no drainage type situation. I I'm not very keen on doing anthurium in no drainage just because I have so many issues with root rot because I'm having to water them pretty frequently. And while in theory, having it in no drainage would result in watering it less often, I just do not trust myself with that because I have rotted so many roots on my anthurium and those are my more expensive plants. So I would just rather not experiment with those, you know, like I feel like that's a good solution for alocasia in my environment and with my watering routine and all that. Anthurium, I'm just not feeling in the no drainage. So, oh yeah, and what is she using for a potting mat today? Because I refused to get a potting mat for some reason. You would think at this point that I would have done that. This is another option that we have in bright yellow. This is my lid to my soil component bin. So this is going to be our beautiful potting mat today. This is actually great. I'm not gonna lie, this is like really great. It's a little bit raised, it's firm, it's not like flopping around all over the place. This may be my permanent kind of go-to here, so we'll see. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little bit in the bottom because, I mean, I wanna bury this a little bit further down because it does have like this really long, oh, you can't see that, this really long kind of like chunk here. So I really want it to go a little bit further down. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on some of my Corsia here. Don't want to go too overboard because it is a little bit expensive. And then I'm just going to kind of like try to like shuffle it down a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. Oh yeah, I have some sphagnum moss in here too. Just because, I mean, it just kind of got in there when I was like repotting some stuff and I was like, you know what? That may not be a terrible idea just to like have a little bit of these like pieces of sphagnum moss in there. I just like to give them a good variety, you know, of stuff that's going on in the soil. I don't know why. I feel like that is the key to success, but for some reason, I do think that. And I don't know if I mentioned too, I've been putting more tree fern fiber in here. So there's definitely a good bit of tree fern fiber in this mix, but I've got a bunch of my other chunky stuff. So I'm keeping it ultra chunky with the tree fern fiber as the main like soily component. I do also have a brick of like cocoa core somewhere, and I'm totally out of my soil mix after this. Like this is all that I have left of it. I did have a big bin of it. So I'm probably gonna mix some more of that like cocoa core in there because tree fern fiber is just too dang expensive for that to be like my main soil component. I'm sorry, I love tree fern fiber, but that is just not, it's just too expensive. And I've gone to get my chopstick just because I've got some areas like over here where all the roots are kind of stuck up against the pot. I'm going to use the chopstick just to kind of push them back a little bit so that the soil can get down in there. And I have noticed, so like the sulfur is completely dry at this point, right? And they've been sitting back inside since yesterday night, so almost 24 hours. I will definitely say that there is a bit of a sulfur smell, even though it is all dried right now, but it is still just not nearly as strong as what I thought it was going to be. Like, I've really heard some people like going on about how terrible it is, but it just really has not been that bad, honestly. Like, I do smell a little bit of a faint, very, very faint aroma. Like, it smells like when, like, obviously a candle is a good scent, but it smells like when you have a candle that has like a very strong perfume to it and you don't have it lit, right? It's just like sitting on the table, but you can still kind of smell that smell a little bit. That's what it smells like, but it's sulfur. So if you want an idea of how strong the sulfur smell is, it's definitely not anything that would prevent me from doing a sulfur treatment. So if that has been your main complaint, like, just wait until it warms up outside so you can spray them down outside and then let them dry. And when you bring them back inside, it's just kind of like a lingering, like a little bit of a lingering smelly smell, but it's not, I don't know, to me it's just like, it's really not that bad. It's not that serious. All right, y'all, so we have got this beauty all potted up. Oh my goodness, she is looking stunning. Wow, yeah, I just cannot Cannot get over this. I will say that it is wonky as heck. Like, I don't know how they had this sucker growing, but this is its, do you see its main leaf? What is she doing? Like, what is going on here? Like, I've tried to correct her because she should, in theory, be like over here, right? Because can you see the caterpillar sticking out from the base? So she should, in theory, be like over here, but it is growing like turned over this way. So I think probably what I'm going to do is just put a little stake in here to kind of hold this way and maybe flip her back around to better stabilize this, because it is just going to completely flop out of the pot if it keeps going in that direction. So hopefully after a couple of days of being like staked backwards and getting some light from multiple directions on my table, she'll kind of even out, because she looks incredible, but like she's a little confused. I am so excited for the future to see what happens with that plant when it starts like sizing up a little bit and we start getting some big, dark, ruffly leaves. I will put a photo on the screen of both of the parent plants so you can kind of see what the lineage of this combination kind of looks like, because obviously it is an extremely beautiful plant, as I've said many times already. Well, before I end this video, I did want to give y'all just a couple of updates. I really held back with this, so I'm going to give you an update on my, oh shoot, I forgot one. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to give you an update on my previous Kartel Daun anthuriums. That was my first order, my first time importing, which is what it resulted in this new plant that we just potted up, was because I had gotten the refund from these plants. So the first one, and the one that looks definitely the worst, this is the mutated forgetii crossed with a Fort Sherman, and she is just so floppy. So I had her in, I put her in fluval just because like she did not have many roots whatsoever, and she really did not like that. So lesson learned, anthurium, it's a no for fluval for me and my environment. But her leaves are ultra floppy. It still has its new leaf though somehow, which is this one right here, and they're not like crisping up severely, just barely at the tips. But keep in mind, this has been like this essentially since I unboxed it from that last video, and there is definitely some yellowing going on. And again, these are extremely floppy, but I did just recently swap it over to a sphagnum perlite mix, which has normally been my go-to method when rehabbing anthurium. I just wanted to try the fluval out because she literally had like 2 or 3 little roots in there, and I was like, maybe the nutrients from the fluval will help. It did not. It hated fluval, hated it. So I put her in the sphagnum moss mix, and I can see down in the moss, her chonk looks fine. Like it's not rotting at all. And she has the start of, you're not going to be able to see this, but she has the start of just like a couple of little roots which are growing back from the base. So I have this sitting right behind my humidifier. I'm hoping that if I just give her a little bit more time and make sure that her moss stays really damp and she's getting enough humidity from that humidifier, that she will actually kind of perk back up in time, since she's not degrading super severely. She's just kind of like in this stasis of floppiness. So hopefully she'll realize that there's something worth living for and she will not pass away on us. Next one, this is my anthurium barong. This one is very interesting. So very interesting. These leaves are not velvety. They are leathery. So like very, very thick, leathery leaves. These are very, I don't know how to describe it. It's not rigid, but it is like an extremely thick leather that is a little bit more rigid than like say a t-shirt. I don't know if that gives you any sense of what these leaves feel like, but it is not velvety, very leathery texture, very kind of like thick. And the veination is just incredibly interesting. It has a very, very wide sinus, even on these very juvenile leaves. So I really, really hope that this one ends up being okay, because I really want to see what this turns into. It has 2 leaves that seem okay. We have one right here near the bottom that is definitely yellowing off, but I don't want to remove any yet. This is another one that like I don't I don't see any roots on the outside of the cup, but when I try to lift it, you can feel a little bit of tension as though there's some kind of rootage going on down there. And it did have like a couple of remaining roots when I put it in this moss. And did I start this one in moss? I actually think that I started this in soil, and it was looking really floppy, like along the lines of this one. So I switched them both over to moss, and this one has definitely perked up. Like these, again, these two leaves feel pretty good, and then this one's definitely yellowing off, but I can see a little bit of a fuzzy root on the very top. I don't think you'll be able to see in there. Well, yeah, maybe you can. You see it like right here, right under my finger. Just like a hint, like a little hint of a fuzzy root. And that, in combination with the fact that the leaves are firming up just a little bit, definitely gives me hope. So I have a pretty good feeling about this one. Like, I'm not as freaked out that it's going to melt. This one I am quite concerned about. But again, it's just going to take time. The other one, so this was the one that had, its leaves had all melted completely off. It was the one that I said looked like cooked spinach in that video, because it very much did. All its little leaves were just floppy and non-existent. It is the HU King of Spades crossed with Velvet Mask, which is a Forgetii. I don't know if it's a Forgetii cross or just their Forgetii, but it did put a leaf out. So does this leaf look amazing? Yes, it does. Like, that is the most beautiful little perfect baby leaf. I'm so proud of her for this. She also has, I'm just noticing this, I think this is a recent development, and I don't know if you can see them down in there because, again, it's just really hard. Maybe you can. Those little lighter dots down in the cup, you probably can't see it through the, yeah, you can a little bit. You see those little like lighter, like right here? Those are little roots. So she is definitely putting out little roots. So that makes me feel much better about her, because she was not putting out any roots prior to me checking this right now. But yeah, that one looks, I mean, it does look just like kind of your stereotypical anthurium seedling, but that's a beautiful leaf. Good job. You go, girl. This one is, however, going to stay in this cup for the foreseeable future until her leaves get too big to take out of there, because I just do not trust transitioning that over to ambient right now. Okay, number 3, this was the one that I was the most excited for. So this was the Indo Hoffmanii crossed with a red spider. And this plant is gorgeous. This one and the one that we just potted up are like no anthurium that I have in my collection. No anthurium that I've really like seen other people have specifically. I mean, I love the Hoffmanii anyways. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous plant. But you can see in combination with that red spider, that veination. The veination. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at that red sinus. Lord have mercy. That is a beautiful plant. Do excuse her, because you can see all the little spots that I had to treat the scale, like scrape off the little scale bugs, because she was looking rough. And her, again, her emergent leaf has not died off. I mean, it's not changed. It has looked like this since I've gotten it. But, you know, normally they just turn to floppy mush and kind of disintegrate, and it has not done that. And it also looks like it's about to put out a new leaf right under my finger right here. Can you see? There you go. You can see the growth point right there, right? Sticking out. Can you see that? A new leaf. Isn't that exciting already? That's so exciting. Probably her best looking leaf. None look good. I guess you can see the sinus more on this one. Oh my gosh, I literally cannot get over this. And that like olivey green color, phenomenal. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And she's actually got some roots, y'all. Her roots are popping. Look at those. You see these right here? So yeah, I'm expecting a new leaf on her before too long. And hopefully it will be a little bit bigger, because you can see these leaves are absolutely beautiful, but they are quite small. And I don't know if that's just going to be a trait of this plant, but to my knowledge, the Hoffmanii and red spider are not like ultra small leaved like this. So I'm assuming this is probably just a more juvenile plant, and the leaves will kind of get larger as it gets older, of course, you know, that's how that works. But yeah, hopefully that next leaf that she's going to give us will be better looking than these and will be bigger. And then 2 quick non-anthurium updates. My Florida Ghost that I found at Publix for $10, that I did not know. I talked about this in my favorites video, or one of my favorites videos. And I did not know if she was going to make it because her bottom leaves were and still are quite, not, you know, the best, most healthy looking leaves I've ever seen in my life. They have pepped up a bit. Before they were like very floppy. They were just flopping right down. She has been growing. She has been growing. Look at this. This is the first leaf that she gave me. So this one, albeit this is not very minty, right? Like that's almost completely green. This is her newest leaf. She's getting minty. I did move her somewhere after she put out this leaf. I did move her somewhere where she'll be getting a little bit more light. So I'm hoping that we'll get kind of like more this type situation on her older leaves because I see you're capable. I see you're capable of it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So hopefully as she gets a little bit healthier and a little bit more light, she's going to make it. And we are going to get some frosty, minty leaves. This next one, this is one of my all-time favorite plants this is the third time that it has died all the way back on me. It is a Xanthosoma. I believe it's Sagittifolium. I don't know what I did with the name tag, but it is the variegated version known as Frozen Planet. If I can find a picture of what it looks like when it actually has leaves that are bigger than half an inch, I will put a photo of that on the screen. This is also kind of like a mini update on my no drainage situation. As I have mentioned, I've been experimenting with no drainage because I love the idea of this. I love the idea of this. We have our nice chunky tree fern fibery soil mix on top of a layer of leca. This guy loves it. Look at these roots. Look at those roots. She is reaching for that water at the bottom, y'all. And look at that one on the other side. This one kind of creeps me out because it looks like a centipede, and centipedes are the most disgusting. Like this is totally irrelevant, but I love bugs. I love all the reptiles. I love all the animals and plants and birds, and centipedes make me want to peel my skin off. Like just the gross, creepy, evil feeling that they give me, I cannot describe to you. So I just really can't describe to you how triggering this is. It also kind of looks to me like if you've watched Attack on Titan, like if you've watched all of Attack on Titan, you know what I'm talking about. That's what that looks like to me. Doesn't it? Is that not creepy? So I'm trying to not let it like psych me out by looking at that. I'm just not going to look at those anymore. But look at these pathetic little leaves. I'm sorry. I shouldn't call them pathetic. They are beautiful leaves. They are quite small, but I understand that you are trying. You have been through it. I understand that. This is the plant that I had gotten from an unnamed, very large seller off of Etsy. Had the absolute worst experience that I've ever had in my entire life with any seller. And this one, like when I got it, infested with spider mites, all of its leaves died off. That was the first time. I do not take responsibility for that one. The two following times, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. It could have been root rot. It could have been anything, you know. But now we have her set up in her little no drainage situation with her better soil and her more moisture, which she seems to really like. And hopefully she's going to start growing leaves that are just a little bit bigger, okay? Because these are wonderful. These are wonderful leaves, but I would love to see some bigger leaves where we could actually see the variegation. But, I mean, she's not croaking, is she? She's still here with us. She's still growing, so that's a win. All right, y'all, like I said, I'm not going to go on and on and on and on and on and on about any more updates because I will definitely do that. That is why I have limited myself to these plants that I've surrounded myself with. We will be having that full walkthrough update video before too long, depending on how quickly I get this video edited and uploaded. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in and hanging out with me today. And if you like this video and you want to see more content like this from me, please please subscribe. It means so much to me and it helps my channel so much. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.